My name is Dar. As a child, I lived like a princess in a grand castle. My parents, bless them, had wealth beyond imagination, more than some countries, but they ensured I understood the value of every penny. Money talks, but wisdom listens, my father would say. Well, my mother made sure I learned how to budget before I even knew how to spell correctly. Living in luxury seemed like a fairy tale until it suddenly wasn't. When I was 12, my parents' private jet crashed, and my fairy tale life was shattered, replaced by a harsh, unforgiving reality. That night, Grandma took me in, and we moved to a modest home that felt worlds away from the lavish lifestyle I was used to. Here, luxury was found in love and care, not in material things. My inheritance was a far-off dream locked away until I turned 25, so I adapted to the new life, learning and growing under Grandma's wise guidance. College became both my escape and my foundation, and it was there that I met Liam. He was nothing like my old world, a scholarship student with a golden heart and a sharp wit that easily cut through pretense. We clicked in a way I didn't expect. Introducing him to Grandma was nerve-wracking. I hadn't told him about the wealth. Better he doesn't know, at least for now. Grandma had suggested, and I understood why. I wanted Liam to love me for who I truly was not for the fortune I might one day inherit. Grandma, this is Liam, I said, my nerves running. Hi, nice to meet you, ma'am, Liam said, extending his hand. Grandma shook it warmly. Sit, she encouraged, her eyes twinkling as she noticed Liam's nervousness. So you're the one who stole my granddaughter's heart? Liam turned red, a shy grin appearing on his face. I guess so, ma'am, he replied. As we sat down, the conversation flowed far more naturally than I had anticipated. Grandma shared stories of my parents, of me growing up, and Liam laughed along, looking at me with a warmth that made my heart swell. You've got a good one here, Grandma said, nodding at me, but addressing Liam. She takes after her mother, strong and kind, but don't be fooled, she has a bit of mischief in her too. I can see that, Liam chuckled, squeezing my hand under the table. The evening continued, filled with laughter and stories. Liam fit right in, as if he had always belonged there. Afterward, as he helped Grandma with the dishes, I knew I had made the right choice in bringing him into my life. Later, as I walked him out, Liam turned to me with a serious expression. Your grandma's incredible, you know, and hearing about your parents, your life, it makes me feel like I understand you more now. I nodded, feeling a lump in my throat. I'm glad, Liam. There's more to me than what you've seen so far, he smiled, pulling me into a tight hug. I'm here for all of it, every part of you. Doesn't matter what's in your bank account, it's you I care about. I squeezed him back, knowing in that moment that I could trust him, but I also understood the weight of the secret I was keeping, a delicate balance that I hoped wouldn't tip over. The ride to Liam's parents' house was a quiet one, filled with the kind of silence that's too thick to cut through. I could tell Liam was nervous, his hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than usual. You sure you're ready for this? I asked, trying to break the ice. Yeah, just my mom can be a bit much. Don't take anything she says to heart, okay? Liam's attempt at a reassuring smile didn't quite reach his eyes. The house loomed ahead, grand and imposing. As we pulled up, my stomach twisted into knots. This was it, no turning back. Now we were barely through the door when Liam's mom, Gloria, made her entrance. Her eyes landed on me like two laser beams, sizing me up in a way that made my skin crawl. So this is the girl you've been hiding, she said, her voice as cold as the marble floors. Mom, this is Liam began, but Gloria waved him off. I know who she is, come. Let's sit. I prepared some tea. Her command was not to be ignored, leading us into a living room that felt more like a showroom. The tea was served, and Gloria wasted no time. I hear you were raised by your grandmother. Must have been quite The humble upbringing, she said the word. Humble sounding more like an insult. I clenched my jaw, fighting to keep my cool. It was my grandma, taught me a lot about life, important stuff, not just fluff. Gloria's lips twitched in a smirk. I see. And your parents gone too soon, I heard. Tragic, really. How does one cope without the proper guidance? Liam jumped in clearly uncomfortable. Mom, that's enough. Leighton. Not no, it's okay, Liam, I interrupted, feeling a surge of defiance. Yeah, my folks are gone, and yet was tough, but I got through it, made me who I am. Gloria sipped her tea, her gaze never wavering. Interesting. And what about your future, dear? Any plans, or are you just riding along on my son's coattails? That stung. I took a deep breath, reminding myself why I was here. I've got plans, big ones, and I don't need to ride on anyone's coattails to make them happen. The air was thick with tension. Liam, bless him, tried to change the subject. Mom, let's not do this, okay? We're here to enjoy each other's company. Gloria sat down, her teacup, a calculated move. I'm merely trying to understand the woman my son has chosen. You can't fault a mother for caring about her child's future. The back and forth felt endless, a verbal tug of war, where no one was winning. Just when I thought I couldn't take any more, Liam's sister Lily made her entrance. Her eyes were curious, but held an edge of judgment that matched her mother's. So you're the famous girlfriend. Heard a lot about you, not all good, I might add. Lily said, her voice dripping with disdain. I was about to snap back when Liam stood up. That's enough, both of you. We came here in good faith to share a part of our lives with you. If that's not something you can respect, then maybe we should leave. The rest of the visit was awkward, to say the least. Conversations felt forced, every laugh a little too loud, but Liam held my hand under the table, a silent promise that we were in this together. As we left, I couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and frustration. I'm sorry about that, Liam said once we were in the car. They can be a bit intense, I sighed, watching the lights of the house fade in the rearview mirror. It's not your fault, but man, your mom and sister, there's something else. Liam chuckled, a sad sort of sound. Yeah, they are, but hey, we survived. Right, survived, and stronger, I agreed, leaning my head against the window. The night sky was clear, the stars shining bright. Maybe it was a sign. No matter how tough things got, there'd always be a way through. The warning came fast and hard, like a slap across the face at our next awkward family gathering. Gloria, my future mother-in-law, wasted no time setting the tone. If you're serious about this marriage, a prenup needs to be signed, she said firmly, her gaze fixed on me, daring me to argue. I remained calm, shrugged, and replied with a quiet fine. By me, I'm not after your son's money. Liam looked mortified, clearly wishing he could disappear. Once we were alone, he was filled with apologies and promises. My mom will cause trouble. I swear we'll be fine, he said, his eyes pleading for me to believe him. The wedding planning proceeded without much trouble, but the actual day, well, that was when everything fell apart. Lily, my soon-to-be sister-in-law, had a little too much to drink and decided it was time for her big performance. In the middle of our reception, she staggered up with a glass in hand, slurring accusations loud enough for everyone to hear. She's a gold digger, doesn't know a thing about our life, illiterate, just after my brother's money. The chaos didn't end there. She made inappropriate advances toward guests and did things that are better left unsaid. I could feel my face burning with a mix of anger and humiliation. Without hesitation, I pulled out my phone and called the police. This spectacle needed an audience, and I wasn't about to let Lily's tantrum go unchecked. The aftermath was a whirlwind of accusations and threats. Gloria vowed revenge for the shame I had supposedly brought to their family. You've humiliated us. The press will have a field day with my daughter's antics, all thanks to you. Liam was caught in the middle, trying to act as peacemaker in a situation where neutrality wasn't an option. I could see the strain on his face, the weight of his family's drama bearing down on him as he tried to keep us from thinking, but I stood firm. This was no longer just about me. It was about setting boundaries, refusing to let money or the lack of it dictate how I was treated. As the night wore on and the noise died down, Liam and I sat in the wreckage of what was supposed to be our happiest day. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice thick with unspoken tears. "I never wanted any of this." I took his hand, feeling the weight of our new reality. "We'll get through this, but things need to change. We need to set boundaries with your family." That night we made a vow not just to stay together, but to fight for the respect we deserved, to not let old wealth or old grudges define our future. 2 years had passed since we said I do, and those vows had grown heavier with each day. Gloria had practically disappeared from our lives. And honestly, I didn't miss her at all. But it wasn't just her absence that marked those years. It was Liam's changing attitude that really drove a wedge between us. He'd come home late or not at all, offering flimsy excuses about work that didn't add up. The warmth we once shared slowly faded into politeness. And eventually, even that began to disappear. The breaking point came one night when he tossed his jacket onto a chair with clear frustration and said something I never imagined hearing. You know, I could have done better. I could have married someone with more class, more in line with my circle." His words cut deep like a slap to the face. I stood there stunned, wanting to scream, to tell him about the fortune that was rightfully mine, but Grandma's voice echoed in my head, advising patience and urging me to truly see Liam for who he was. So I swallowed my hurt and my truth, biting back tears. I wondered maybe if we had a child, it would bring us closer, remind him of the love we once had. "Liam, don't you think it's time we talked about having a baby? Maybe it could help us reconnect," I suggested one evening, hoping it would spark something in him. His response was like a cold shower. "A baby now? Don't be ridiculous. We're not ready for that. Not even close." The conversation was over before it really began. It wasn't just the refusal, it was the disdain in his tone, the way he made it clear that what I hoped for, what I believed could save us, was just a foolish fantasy in his eyes. Days turned into weeks, and those weeks into months of silence, of living side by side but not together. Each rude remark, every late night added another brick to the wall between us. I confided in Grandma, poured my heart out over cups of tea that had gone cold before I could finish them. "He's not the man I married, Grandma. I don't know if he ever was." She listened, her eyes sad but understanding. "You can't make someone be who you want them to be, darling. Sometimes we see what we want to see until we can't ignore the truth any longer." Her words, though heavy, carried a sliver of relief. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't asking for too much. I just wanted a partner, someone who saw me as an equal, who respected me. But as the days passed, it became clearer that wasn't who Liam was. Not anymore. If he ever had been, the idea of leaving crossed my mind more times than I cared to admit, but every time it did, I pushed it away, hoping against hope that something would change, that the man I loved would find his way back to me. The vibe was set for a killer party. I'd gone all out for Liam's birthday bash, hoping to bring back a spark into what had turned into a pretty mundane marriage. No expense was spared, and the guest list was a who's who of our closest pals. Notably missing from the invite list were Gloria and Lily, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. Their drama was the last thing I needed ruining the night. Liam was in high spirits, soaking in the adoration and well wishes from everyone. For a moment it felt like we were back in the honeymoon phase, all laughter and inside jokes, but that bubble burst the second Gloria and Lily crashed the party, uninvited but clearly expecting to be welcome. Turns out Liam had gone behind my back and invited them, hoping to avoid Any family fallout their presence turned. The atmosphere tense. Lily in true form made a bina for the booze, dressed in an outfit that screamed look at me and not in a good way. Gloria's snide remarks flew under the radar, each one a veiled jab at me or our marriage. As the night wore on, Lily's antics escalated, fueled by champagne and a need to be the center of attention. She started a rant about me not fitting into their family, how I was unworthy of their name. It was a mess, and Liam was nowhere to be found, too busy playing the good son to notice the circus unfolding. The climax of the evening was when Lily, a few sheets to the wind, decided to air out some dirty laundry. Waving around some documents, she blurred out insults, each word a knife. The spectacle ended with her stumbling into the pool, documents flying everywhere. I rushed over more out of curiosity than concern and gathered the scattered papers. My heart sank as I pieced together what they were: divorce papers signed by Liam. It was like a punch to the gut, each signature a betrayal. I stood there numb as the reality of the situation washed over me. My husband, the man I had vowed to spend my life with, had decided our journey was over without so much as a word to me. The party around me faded into a blur as I clutched the documents, Liam's signature glaring up at me, confirming what I didn't want to believe. This wasn't just a party to remember, it was the end of everything I thought we had. In the aftermath of the pool incident, I felt a rush of clarity amidst the chaos. My heart raced as I approached Liam, holding the soaked divorce papers that had inadvertently exposed a truth I wasn't ready to face. Liam, what is this? I demanded, my voice stronger than I felt, pushing the papers toward him. Before he could answer, his mother interrupted with a smugness that made my skin crawl. Oh, looks like your little plan backfired, didn't it? Liam's leaving. You thought you could trap him with a baby for his money. I locked eyes with Liam, searching for any trace of the man I had married, but he couldn't meet my gaze. His silence spoke louder than words. With a resigned sigh, I signed the divorce papers. They were a formality, now just the final chapter of a book I no longer wanted to be part of. As the tension hung in the air, Grandma stepped forward, her calm presence a bomb in the storm. She didn't need to say a word. Her eyes spoke volumes of understanding and silent support that gave me strength. It was then that she chose to reveal the truth, not just to me, but to everyone present. She doesn't need any of your money, Grandma declared, her voice steady and resolute. In a month, she turns 25 and will inherit a fortune beyond anything you could imagine. She's been raised to value people over wealth, to seek out genuine connections rather than financial gain. The room went silent, the weight of her words hanging heavily in the air. Gloria's face transformed from smug satisfaction to shock, and then to a desperate kind of greed as she scrambled to make amends. Her apologies, as insincere as they were transparent. Liam, too, seemed eager to rewrite the story, insisting his intentions were never to hurt me, that he was simply influenced by his mother. But it was too late. The curtain had been pulled back, exposing the truth about our relationship and the motivation behind it. I met their apologies with a quiet smile, not out of forgiveness, but because I had found peace within myself, knowing my worth was not tied to the wealth that awaited me. You've shown me your true colors, I said, my voice firm with newfound strength. As for surprises, well, I've got another one for you. At that moment, the sound of a car horn echoed through the tension outside. A sleek luxury car pulled up to the gate, the very one I had secretly bought for Liam. As a surprise, the irony wasn't lost on me. I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh as I excused myself and stepped outside to confront the final act of this drama. There it was, a symbol of the love I once thought we shared, now just another prop in the game of pretense and betrayal. Without hesitation, I slid into The driver's seat the leather cool. Beneath me just as unyielding as my resolve grandma ever my pillar joined me. Without a word. Her presence was a silent reminder of the strength and dignity that ran through our family. As I turned to face the house, I saw Liam and his mother standing at the door, their faces a mixture of confusion and disbelief. From now on, everything goes. Through my lawyer, I called out to them, my voice clear and devoid of any warmth. And don't worry about my stuff, I'll have a courier pick it up. Their once smug expressions were now replaced with realization and regret, not just for the wealth they had coveted, but for the person they had so easily underestimated. With that, I turned the key, and the car's engine purred to life. A sound that promised freedom and new beginnings. Grandma and I shared a glance, a silent agreement that this was the first step toward a future free from deceit and manipulation. After all the revelations and dramatic exits, the air felt lighter, as though the truth had not only stripped away the layers of greed and deceit, but had also cleared the way forward. It didn't take long for the first test of my newfound resolve to come. The phone rang, its shrill tone slicing through the stillness like a knife. On the other end was Lily, her voice laced with an uncharacteristic sweetness. Hey, I just wanted to clear the air between us. We're practically the same age, right? We could be friends. I couldn't help but laugh. A short, disbelieving sound, the contrast between her usual disdain and this saccharine tone was jarring. Friends, I echoed the word, feeling foreign. You mean like how friends don't talk behind each other's backs at parties or humiliate each other in front of everyone? There was a pause, a brief moment where I could almost hear the wheels turning in her head as she scrambled for a response. Well, water under the bridge, and all that she said weakly. Water into the pool, you mean? I shot back, unable to resist the jab. The silence that followed spoke volumes. It was clear my refusal to play along had derailed her plans. Fine, be that way, she snapped, her veneer of sweetness slipping away. You'll regret this. I hung up, feeling a strange mix of amusement and sadness. It was a stark reminder of the masks people wear and the lengths they'll go to when faced with the consequences of their actions. The urge to strike back was hard to ignore, a persistent thought that lingered in the back of my mind. I decided to post the video of Lily falling into the pool on social media. It spread like wildfire. Within an hour, it had 1,000 likes, and suddenly my sister-in-law was internet famous. She called demanding I take it down, but I simply blocked her. I was done with her fake sweetness and her vile attitude. A week later, my phone rang with a number I instantly recognized. It was Gloria, her voice dripping with an unnatural sweetness, as if hoping to bridge the gap with some words she thought would heal the rift. Let's put the past behind us for Liam's sake. Can't we reconcile? She suggested, as though the damage was nothing more than a few scratches that could be patched up with some soothing words. No, Gloria, that ship has sailed. I answered, my tone firm but not unkind. There was no anger in my voice, just a calm solve. I wish Liam well, but our paths are diverging. I'm looking forward, not back. Not long after Liam attempted to reach out as well. One morning, I found a bouquet of flowers on my doorstep, the card simply reading, I'm sorry, please come back. The sight of them stirred more frustration than tenderness. Without hesitation, I tossed them straight into the trash. His attempts didn't end there. He showed up unannounced, hoping to talk things over, but I wasn't the same person he left behind. His presence, once a comfort, now felt like an invasion. One evening, when he appeared at my door again, I met him with a resolve as unyielding as steel. If you don't stop this, I'll call the police, I said, my voice steady and unshakable. Your apologies can't undo the past. It's over, Liam. Really, it's over. The weight of my words seemed to finally sink in his shoulders sagged, and after a long lingering look he turned and walked away. That was the last time I saw him. In the months that followed, I immersed myself in charity work. It became my passion, my calling, helping those in genuine need, connecting with people who valued kindness over wealth, brought me a sense of fulfillment I hadn't realized was missing. Living with Grandma, I found peace in our quiet, steady routine. We would plan our next project, our next way to make a difference, and during those moments I understood that this was where I was meant to be. I didn't have illusions about the future. It would be filled with challenges, perhaps even more heartache, but I also knew it would be rich with joy, with moments of pure happiness, and with love that nourishes the soul. And so I live my life looking ahead, not behind. I work, I help, and I hope. I believe in a future where true love is not defined by wealth or status, but by genuine connection. And yes, one day I will have those 3 beautiful children I dream of, but for now I am content. I am building a life of purpose, surrounded by love that expects nothing in return. This isn't the end of a chapter. It's the start of a whole new book, and I'm the one writing it.